Hello everyone, this is Alex from games.on.net, and January is, as you know, or the February technically, since this is the 1st of February on the day that I'm recording this, but January and February are typically the month for smaller indie games. So one of them came out to early access, and that one is Armello. Armello is the sort of card/board game that's being produced by League of Geeks down in Melbourne. Now they're the guys that ran a Kickstarter last year. It successfully funded in April, I want to say, and they raised just over $300,000, which is not only is that a pretty good amount for any Australian project ever, but it's also a really good amount for Kickstarter projects in general. I think it's probably what we'll see in the future over the coming years. I don't think there's going to be too many multi-million-dollar projects of the size of an Oculus Rift or Elite Dangerous and things like that anymore. So Armello is, as I said, it's a card and a board game, and the basic principle is this guy here, you can see, is the king, and he rules over Armello, which is the name of the land, and he's fallen sick to the rot, and every turn he loses, because there's a night and there's a day cycle, so every time it cycles to the day, he loses one bit of health, and you have to go around and you have to decide what you want to do to effectively win. You can either go and kill the king, become the most prestigious hero left in the land because you represent one of the many clans throughout Armello. We'll take a look at some of those now. So these are the 4 that are available in the early access build. League of Geeks have said that the game is going to be in early access for about 6 months, and I think I remember reading saying it was going to be something like 20 playable heroes in the end. But we can see here, so we've got Sana, who is a natural spellcaster here, and these are the stats, and I'll go over them. So fight is the amount of dice you roll in battle. So basically when you come up against another hero, or if you're fighting one of the King's Guard or the King himself, or the Banes, which are spirits that are spawned at dungeons at night and they wander around the world, that means you get 2 die to roll. Health is just pretty self-explanatory. That's how many health points you have. Wits. Now, wits are interesting. Wits determines, first of all, the amount of dice that you can roll when you face up against a peril. Now, the perils are, there's 4 perils within the King's Castle itself. You only usually, if you successfully beat one, you only have to beat one of them en route to the king. It just depends on what side you come from. And also, all of the heroes can lay perils throughout the map, so they can play them on tiles with special peril cards. And also the second part is wits determines how many cards you can hold. So having high wits is really good at the start, because then you can draw a lot of cards quickly, and you can equip a lot of items to give you a lot of buffs. And spirit is obviously the amount of magic that you get for casting spells. Now, every time it clicks over to nighttime, or dusk as it says here, your spell points are reset to what your spirit level is. So if you've used all your spell points in the daytime and it comes to the dusk, then you get, in this case, Sana gets 5 points again. And if not, if you actually have more than that, then it gets reset back to what your base is. So Amber here is kind of an explorer of such. I don't want to say he or she, I'm just going to say rabbit. But Amber has got basically good starting gold, starts with 4 and has pretty decent base stats. And you can also, and you'll see afterwards, you can pick an item that boosts one of your stats at the beginning of the game. So Mercurio here is not much of a magic caster, but he can go around. He has a fair bit of coins. He can also pick up a lot of different coins with his ability here. And Thane is kind of very similar to Geralt in the Witcher adventure game, in terms of he's the best equipped for actually fighting. I've played with Thane the most, because it's good you can go around. It's good for prestige victories, because after you play with a while, you have an ability that gets you extra gold for every battle you win. But I'm going to go with Amber here. I'm going to try and see if we can go for one of the different victories. So we'll see. I've picked Amber. Now, these are the other ones that you can pick. So this one gives me 1 extra shield on planes, which just means I have 1 extra defense. And you can unlock these with by playing more games with Amber. And these different amulets here, which give you different benefits, you unlock those by the different victories. So Rot Victory, for instance, means you become corrupted, because every time you attack a Bane, if the Bane kills you, you gain 1 Rot. and if you gain 5 rot, you become corrupted. So once you get to that point, you can charge the castle and take over Armello for the darkness, as it were. Kingslayer victory, just walk up, kill the king in battle and don't die. Spirit Stone victory, you can go throughout the world and you can find different spirit stones. So once you get 4, you can go into the castle and you can purge the rot from the king. And prestige victory, which is just basically means here that you have the highest amount of prestige when the king dies, and when the king dies, whoever has the most prestige is declared the king and therefore the winner. Now these other ones here, gain 1 fight, body, wits, and spirit. I'm going to go with 1 fight, so that will basically even out Amber's stats across the board. So watch this intro here. And it's very short, and it's basically the same amount as... Whoop, so just... I recalibrate here. And you can see that Thane started with 2 prestige, which means that the AI's decided to go with that prestige that I'd unlocked. And they will do that. All of those benefits are available to the AI and other players, of course, and they will choose to go with whatever one they want. Now this forest here has been marked out as a quest, so when I go here I'll have an option and I can earn some extra gold and other things. But the first one we want to look at is our cards. Now each of these cards here have a cost involved in them. So this one, patronage and industry, so I gain 1 prestige and 1 gold every turn for 3 turns. And it has a symbol up here on the top right hand side, and what that means is when you go into a peril or when you get into a battle, you can burn the card, and if you choose to burn the card, the symbol you get is marked by that one on the top right. So if you face a peril and you need a sun, for instance, then I could burn this card and get this. This is a rot worm, similar to down here. And this is just swords, which can't be blocked, hence it's in that. And again, another sword here. Now that's 3 and that's 3. Obviously that's really good. Now the reason why prestige is also really useful to have is after each daytime, the king calls one of the hero with the most prestige, and that hero gets to choose one of 2 cards, and those cards have an effect across the entire nation. So it could be something like everybody has to sacrifice 1 follower to the gallows, or it could be the King's Guard gets new equipment so they've got more fight, so they can roll more dice in battle and they've got more armor, or everybody has to pay 5 gold, or they die under like a healthcare scheme, I think it's called. But in this instance, I'm just going to equip this. It does mean that I'll have 1 less die to roll every time I go into a fight, but I will have 2 swords as a result, so that is beneficial. So this here, a spirit circle, or you can go here at night time. Sometimes you can pick up spirit stones from here, and you can also restore health, which is really handy. Ask them about the cell sword. So this is kind of hard, like my fight and wits are identical. See if I can give him some gold. And it seems to work out. So I've got some prestige there, and I've got an extra spirit card. And another quest into another forest, so. Gain evade until the end of my next turn. Now I'm not entirely sure what that does. I think there's a... So we go here, we can go in the game guide, and we can have a look at the... This has, if you're ever confused, this has all of the different explanations. So that's what a Bane does, you know. This is the use of magic. This is how you explore your inventory. The declarations, which is being the prestige leader, that's what you effectively get to choose. Playing perils. But it doesn't, there's nothing on statuses. So evade, what does evade do for me? Well, I don't really know. So that's, you know, that's one of the things that you can probably be fixed out in early access. Obviously, they say they're going to have the game in this state for about 6 months. But as you can see, it's a fairly pretty game. Considering this is, and I was thinking back to the Witcher adventure game, and one of the problems I had with that is that the presentation felt very cramped, and there wasn't a lot of detail in the characters, the heroes themselves, and that's not the case here with Armello. It's really pretty gorgeous, and I'm actually really excited to see what this would be like on an iPad or a tablet as well, because it is being designed for mobiles. I would say actually less mobiles than tablets. I wouldn't, even on a 6-inch tablet, I wouldn't really want to be playing this. So here we've got a member of the King's Guard who's just been taken out by the Bane, spawned at the nearest dungeon. Now I can walk into that dungeon with my next turn, which I'm going to do, but before that, I'll take... So that's kind of helpful. So gain 1 extra die in a peril. Only cost me 1, so I have no problem with that. Now, -1 health, don't really want that. Now, you notice that the hero also actually, if you look there, it says peril 3 on that card, spirit range 4, and spirit range 4, and peril 3. And what that basically means is the range of how far you can play the card. So you can see, if I have here, you can see the outline on the top left. I won't move the mouse cursor, but if I walk up here, it's a bit more obvious there. Whereas the peril range here is a lot less. Alright, so first step, we'll go... Actually, I'll take this settlement first, because that'll get me a bit extra gold. And I'll come back to the dungeon. Hopefully it doesn't spawn a Bane. And now what I've picked up here is one of the things you can find in dungeons are followers that can come with you, and they're very, very useful. This one, not one of the most useful ones, but it's not bad to have, so regain all my health when I heal, but I obviously can't play it because I chose to equip the adventurer's kit there. So what I might do, just for safety, so I'll just give me evade. I could probably beat the Bane straight off the bat because he has just had that fight against the King's Guard, but he's actually taken no damage at all. So you can see there, actually, we'll go back and we'll scroll over. So you can see it's got, the sword means it's got 4/5, and rot means it's got 5 rot. Now we can do the character sheet here we can look at. So these are my stats, obviously, how many action points I get, the amulet and signet and things that avoid. Here we go. So when attacked, roll wits, not fight, and all attack will count as defense instead. So that's interesting. So that's actually the only time I've put a few hours into this. I've played it mostly on PC. I did actually install it on my MacBook Air as well. I have last year's, the model came out last year, just the lowest end model, and it is quite playable, but the problem at the moment is there's no save games, so if you've only got like 15 minutes on the train, you're not likely to finish a game. So we'll take an item here. Give us -1 health. Now I've got a bit of extra money thanks to those settlements. And I don't want to be around Thane because Thane's fight is a bit of a problem. Mercurio seems, he's got 5 fights, so I'll just check him out here. So 1 prestige and 1 gold for every trickery kill, which is the peril cards here, they're called trickeries. And 1 fight. So we started with 4, and it's not too bad. When we check out Thane there, Thane's obviously, he's just gone for, he can move through mountains, and he's got the extra prestige he started with. Sana's just gone for guaranteed first symbol match on perils, which is always nice if that's the victory you want to go for. And 1 magic for every spell card burned. And obviously the default benefit here, which this one you can't change, is that you get +1 to all of your stats when you're on a stone circle. Right, so we'll click there, and kind of want to go hunting again, so I'm gonna check out this dungeon. It's giving me really not a lot at all. So the question here is, who's the more threatening to me? I want to burn this this plague card, because it's not that useful to me, and the symbol is never really helpful. There's no instance where I need a rot symbol, so it's better for me to just get rid of it, and then I can draw a new card next turn, or when the dust comes. So 1 rot, -1 health. Can only play it to a settlement or a swamp, actually. So that's a problem. This one I can play to the forest or the mountains, so I can only play it to Sana, but I don't have the money for it. Whereas... Actually, what I will do is I'll play this on myself. Now, I'm going to lose 1 health because of it, but I will be able to go straight into the forest. And then I can go... So it takes me a little bit further away. Those two can occupy themselves. And then I'll go into the stone circle after that. And that will give me the health back. And hopefully these two kill each other. So Mercurio there also has evade in the settlements. Now, well, the stealth, I should say. So the benefit that gives is when you run into a tile and there's a hero there that has stealth, your cards are locked, so you can't choose to burn them. So it's really dangerous, especially if you're a character that has a low fight stat, because then you have very few options. You can't buff yourself out if you really want to win that fight. So the rock increases 1 more, and I've got a couple of magic back. Now I've only got the 1 gold, so I'm not really going to be able to play much. So 2 fight and -1 wits. That's... So what I might actually do is I'll come in here. I have body. I'm not going to want to test. That's my prestige. So I'll test that. It's the same amount as my fight anyway. And I've gotten 1 card, which is useful. But it's 2 gold actually. Yeah. In battle, gain +1 fight. That's a great one. That gives me an extra die. There's no negatives to that. So extra 1 I might do. Now I can come here and I can take that settlement, but I'll probably just get attacked by the Bane. So what I might want to do is, that's where my next objective is, and there's a dungeon. Where is it? There's one over there. So I could also probably be moving, or you can zoom out a little bit as well. And I'll just up the sensitivity of my mouse there so I can scroll a little more smoothly. There we go. That's better. Alright. So I'll come into the stone circle here. I'll get healed. And I will teleport to the dungeon. And I'll end my turn there. And when it comes to the daytime, I'll play the... So I'll draw the card and I'll play the fight, and then I'll go for... If Sana comes down and decides that she wants... Or he, or... Never really decided. Got to get away from that. There's always a temptation to use gendered language. But yeah, if the wants to come for the fight, then I'll be well prepared for it. So Thane gets a bit of prestige there. Every time you win a fight, incidentally, you get an extra bit of prestige. The only time that doesn't seem to happen is there can be a Imperial Decree where you lose all your prestige. If you attack another hero, you obviously lose your prestige for attacking the king, because that's, you know, it's not something anyone looks too favourably upon. You also lose 1 prestige for attacking the King's Guards. There are instances where the King's Guards will attack you if you try to breach the castle, or if they're, again, by a royal decree that, you know, the King's Guard will attack all heroes on sight. But if they attack you, then you're not going to lose prestige in that instance. So, guard just moving around there. I don't really have much of anything, so I'll just take an item and see if it's any good. Recharge 2 magic, it's not really much of anything. But I'll stick to my original plan and I'll... Now what I can actually do is I can be cheeky and I can just duck in and out and constantly recheck that dungeon. And that will be... I was going to go into the Spirit Circle, but I'm not going to get anything from it, so... What I will do is I will just... mosey on out into the open. I wonder if I can hit Mercurio from there. I can't. But it costs 2 gold, so I can't do it. So what I was just looking at later is Mercurio only had 1 health point at the time, and you can actually play cards not on your turn. There are some instances where you can't play them to the particular hero if they're in a battle or whatever. And I've just lost my settlement there. Oh no, it's Mercurio's settlement. That's right, because I went down to the Spirit Circle instead. But yeah, there are instances, so I could play perils at this point into an empty tile. You can play them onto tiles that heroes are standing on. So, you know, you're not... This isn't forced downtime right now where I'm not playing my cards. I can certainly do that if I choose to. Now, something that's interesting here, the 3 blue symbols under Mercurio, those are spirit stones, and that's useful to a victory. If you get 4 spirit stones, you can, like I said, you can just walk in, you can just touch the king and purge him of the rot, and you can win that way. And you lose spirit stones if you're attacked, so... two... I think I'm going to have a crack at him. Because I do have that advantage of having an extra fight until the end of this turn, so... And you can see there, this is the benefit of those cards coming in, so... I'm going to burn 1 extra card because I really want to get rid of Mercurio right now. I don't think that quite did it. No, it did. He had 3 health, not 4. So, that's just enough. I'm kind of open to attack from Sana, but I do gain the prestige for it. And I gain an extra Spirit Stone. So I've taken 1 from Mercurio. So you only lose 1 every time you die, which is important to know. I think I might actually... Alright, so what I'll do here is... No, that's not clever. I was going to say recharge 2 magic. I think there's a difference in language between recharging magic and actually gaining magic, and the difference is recharging will only take you up to your maximum amount of health. The health cards have a similar thing where you can refill. Now, you might have just noticed there, Mercurio lost a little right. He lost a health point for going onto the swamp. Oh, interesting to note there that Thane lost all his prestige. And he's just summoned the Bane as well, which is one of the things that can happen. While that... Just check that. Yeah, no prestige. So, that would be because there's a royal decree. And you can actually, if you look down here at the bottom, you can click up the status feed and you can scroll through and you can check the impact of everything that's happened. So now I've just lost 1 of my Spirit Stones. Mercurio, who had 3, is now going to have 2. So the AI's just basically hobbled themselves. AI is always a really difficult thing to get going in board games and pod games generally. So, 2 cards here. I haven't got much gold, so I don't really want to use that. It's a pretty powerful card, that, but it's not really what I want at the moment. 2 fight and wits. I'll take that because I want to... Now... burn that. I was going to burn a second one, but I might really want to keep it. So I've lost 1 health and I've lost my other action point here, so... But I do have I will gain a little bit of gold and maybe a card if I play this right, so... The body I'm not going to test because it's down to 3. The spirit is at 4, which is kind of not really helpful, so I guess I have to test... I have to test the spirit and hope that it's enough. And it's giving me a bonus card as well, so... Let's have a look here. -1 fight for enemies in battle. Not really helpful at the moment. I kind of prefer what I have. It's worth noting too, when you go into a dungeon, you can find treasures, and treasures will usually take the place of followers or items that you can equip, but the benefit of those treasures are they're usually quite good, and they also don't cost you anything. So, hence being a quite treasure. There's a really good one that I'm often hoping to get actually as a recruiter that gives you 2 bonus die when you go for a peril, which is fantastic for taking the castle. And as you saw there when I ran into that peril, it's very difficult to actually defeat them just on die alone. Because there are a lot of different symbols that you could hit up, and now I just noticed I think the Bane is only on 1 health, so I might try and attack it now, but I do have a small problem where I'm going to lose 1 health for every action I take this turn. And that's actually really powerful because Armello doesn't quite seem like it, but you actually don't have a lot of time to win the game. And this video has gone a little slower than what a normal pace of the game would be. But let's see if I can... No. I'm happy to lose 1 health there, but I do need to find something to make it worth it. I don't, but... I'll just end the turn there. I don't really want to lose more than 1 health. I also don't want to lose 1 health and try and take on Bane at the same time, but yeah, and Poison Gift again, so. Now, interesting thing there is Mercurio is happy to take Rot every time that happens, so. I'll burn that card actually. Now, as to these different symbols here, it's worth noting now, swords and shields are fairly obvious. This one here with the little tree, that's sort of like a worm tree. So that explodes, and when it explodes, it counts as 1 attack, and you also get another die roll. The one that looks like the rot, that basically is a miss, but if the Bane gets that, or if someone, it explodes for them and they get another roll. There are also sun and moon symbols, and they count as 1 attack depending on whether it's day or dusk. And you can also get, there's a good basic item that you can equip, so it's not a treasure, where suns and moons that miss in fights count as extra shields, so that's really helpful. Particularly for taking on the king, because the king has 8 fights, so and one of the recommended strategies is building up on a lot of shields and burning cards to get through the peril, and then having a lot of items that give you a lot of shields so you can survive that fight with the king. Because as you go on, especially towards the end of the game, the king will only have 1 or 2 health. I think he has 5 now, I want to say. No, 4 health now. So you won't actually need to do that much damage to kill him, but you still need to survive a lot of blows, and if any of those blows happen to rain through, then, or one of them becomes like a worm tree, then you can have ridiculous amounts of attack facing you. 3 prestige while equipped. Nice if you really want to win the game. Not. I might hold on to that. We'll see what else we get. -1 health, +1 action points, so that's not bad. But let's see if I can find. No, we won't go with that. So I'll just go exploring here. I have extra gold, which is... It's okay, but it's not... At this stage of the game, it's not really what's particularly helpful for me. Let's see if I can... I don't think I can see how many cards. How much... 3 wits. Here's 6 magic, and I don't want to... So I'll punish him like that. Played a settlement, and I'll play a swamp. Thane doesn't have any movement penalty for going through the swamp, but I'm just considering the path that I want to take. Zoom out here. I want to go through there. So basically, if I was considering maybe playing it to that swamp there, but that's essentially where I want to be anyway, and that would force us both through the same path, and that's not really what I want to do, so I will just end the turn there. As I have a little bit of my coke. So every time you do die, you go back to one of those, your clan grounds, I believe it's called. Thane, drawing 3 cards there. Interesting to note, you can see what cards that they do draw, and that can be important. Thane drawing 3 spirit cards is interesting. Obviously, it's a benefit because he must have picked up some extra magic along the way. That magic won't stay until the dusk. If it comes to dusk and he has more spirit or more magic left over than what his base is, that will be reset. As it says there, every hero's magic is realigned with their spirit every night. So you do want to act quite quickly. And I think in general, actually, in Armello, you want to move very fast. You don't want to hang around too long, because it can be very difficult. Like, you are dealing with dice, and dice can be eternally problematic and often never in your favour. Refilling health, that's always kind of helpful, excuse me, as I let out a small burp there. So that's my settlement, so I don't need to worry. And I'll just go straight into the spirit stones. Play the settlement. There's nothing there that I really want to play or do. There's no other swamps here that I want to affect, so I'll just end it. I'll check the prestige at the moment here. So I'm on 1, and Mercurio's basically, if the king just dies as is, Mercurio's laughing. Also got a very high body, so it will be courtesy because the items he has. Thane and Sana has the same as me. So essentially, Mercurio needs to die a few times, or somebody needs to find a way to win. Otherwise, the little rat is going to be walking away with this. Now, oh, no. Could have actually put a little peril on there and given a bit of rot to Thane, but on the 6th day. So with 3 health left, and considering that you only lose health from rot in the daytime, and that applies to the heroes as well. If you have rot, you do lose health. Now Mercurio dying there, that was the healthcare effect card that I had, so declares that he'll heal everybody's wounds for 5 gold, but if you can't pay, then you're dead. So let's see what we get here. I'm happy to pay for that. Pay to reveal, like an extra card. And now I would have actually loved to play this on my Curio Poison Gift, but I can't. And you can see the cost there is you do gain 1 rot. Now that's really good if you're actually looking to play the rot victory, but I'm not at this stage. Thane is 3 fight, which not really. Don't really want to go for. I'm just wondering as well whether this prestige, while equipped, if I might need to actually equip it at some point. So we'll just look here. I'm on 2. Mercurio's on 7. If I manage to beat Thane in battle now, I will go to 3. So that will put me on... Is it 2 or 3? So it'll put me on 6. So I'll be in distance. So I might actually... I'll have to make this attack. And I'll play that on Thane. And I'll have a crack at him, and hopefully I can do just enough. Just enough damage. Now we'll see what benefits he's got here. Yeah, see, neither of those cards are worth burning for me, so I'm just not going to bother with it. Hopefully I get some wild trees. Yes, I got 1, so it gets me another die roll, and I get another attack there. So, overkill there. We've both died, unfortunately. But we won't gain rot for dying if we attack each other. But unfortunately, it won't be any prestige either. In fact, it'll be minus prestige, so that's gone worse for me. Yeah. And see, I would like to play that card, but as it says there, I cannot play from the clan grounds. So, I have to wait till my next turn. Now I'm recording this in 60 frames, so you can see the motion's quite smooth, and it's very nice and pleasant to look at. And I do have to... I like to say shadow play, but I'm not using shadow play, although I am using the NVIDIA encoder through OBS for this video. I traditionally don't do that. It will be something I'm looking to do more this year, hopefully, if I have the opportunities, recording more at 60 for the site. I was reading actually the other day, I was looking into the SDK from NVIDIA, and they were saying that the new Maxwell chips, which is I think the 750 and the 760 were the first ones, and then they had the 900 series and up, they actually have the ability to record with lossless video using the onboard encoder. Now, can I play a settlement? I can. I can get rid of that card finally because it's not doing anything for me. So, end the turn there. So yeah, so if you do have a 900 series card, you can do that. You can record lossless, which is why up until this point I avoided using Shadowplay or the M thing encoder like others had. Now, this card here I can't play on the target's turn, but while it's up, if I want to refill my health, that's something I could play on my turn. It's always worth considering that. Now, something there, I'm going to... I will gain 1 rot for doing that, but... This is kind of the point where someone's got to make a bit of a move on the king sooner or later, because... And I've just lost my doctor there. As you can see. Is sacrificed for the benefit of the king. Now, I'm going to get some spells. And the problem, I have a massive problem here at the moment. I basically only have 3 turns to make something happen. Where is my next... That's up there. I'm not really going to get anything. So my consideration now is, where is the best place to breach the king? Or should I try and get one last item before I do that? Thane can't move, so that's kind of helpful. I could teleport to the furthest dungeon, which would probably... Sun has occupied that, so it will probably actually send me over here, I'm guessing. I'm so sorry. So that's really not an option, so I'm better off just ducking back in here and looking for treasure. Finally, there we go. Royal Shield. Battles suns and moons that miss counter shields. Excellent. So that's the one I was talking about before, and that one is most helpful. Now, do I really want the 2 swords at this stage? I don't. And the reason for that is because the king is... My goal now is the only way I can realistically win is killing the king. And so I don't really need to lose that 1 extra die chance. So I'm going to need that to roll as a shield. So drop that one off. And have a crack. I'm not going to use Wild Sap to refill my health and then hope to draw a better card, because I can regain the health by walking into the stone circle, and then I'll walk into the castle. Now, when you do actually go into the castle, you lose all your action points, so it's kind of a case of, oh, that's interesting. And I've just lost Wild Sap there anyway, so that's... Seems like both players really want to come after me. Don't want to use any of these 3, so I'll just go with the die and cross fingers. Well, the wolf's dead no matter what. I'm definitely dead. You can sit there and enjoy that animation. It's really pretty lovely. Thane will probably get a lot of extra mana for magic for that, I want to say. I think that was how the little wolf was doing it before. I'm actually just going to check that. But he's got none there, so maybe it's a case where you only, if you have that ability where you gain 1 magic for every wound you cause, so every point of damage. Maybe that's something where it only applies if you stay alive. But go with 1 extra spell. And go to the dungeon and hope for something relatively useful. Didn't exactly get it in this instance. And in fairness, I probably actually should have looked at an item. Although it is nice to have... What I do like is if I can get through this unscathed, I've got 1 of every symbol, which should enable me to have at least a shot at getting through the first peril straight off the bat. And I do have 4 wit plus 6 die, so I'll be able to get through to the king. I'll have 1 crack, that's 1 shot, and that will be it. And that's one of the things you do want to make sure, is because the perils can be impossible. I had a game against another freelancer who's done a little bit for games.on.net. You usually see him writing for Hyper or Until It Shut Down recently, which is sad, the Black Panel. And he had a battle where he picked up a bunch of really good shields and fantastic items. Sorry, as I'm moving. Straight away. And I picked up 4 Spirit Stones after the second day. So we're both like, oh, this is fantastic. We're going straight after the king. And we went through just tried to go through the perils normally. And I think we had about 7 or 8 separate goes. And we failed every single time. You can see that the king's on It's 1 health, so basically have to storm the castle now because you lose 1 turn for, or you lose 1 action for the first time. So. Now the other problem I have here is I'm not going to get to the king in time, and I've also lost all my cards. So I can no longer win. Yep. Because even if I do this, take whatever I get. So I get the Explorer back, which was nice, but might as well play that because, well, it doesn't matter. Might as well give myself a lot. And I'll hold off on playing. Might as well play them. I'm not going to be doing any exploring anyway. Mercurio's got this one wrapped up in the bag, but it is fun to at least go for the different victories. But as I think you've been able to see throughout the course of this game, because there is always a time limit on how long the game can go because of the king is losing health every day, the prestige victory automatically becomes the most common because it's easiest to just wait it out, to just go around. You get prestige every time you go and you complete your different quests, and you get prestige for winning the fights. So if you gear up and just focus on that, or just play a very interfering style where you just attack, you try and pick off heroes with perils and other things that are trying to go after the king, then in that instance it makes the prestige condition almost automatic even if you don't win. So we'll go in and we'll have a look at what the king's peril is like. It says here, yes. I know the king doesn't like me in his little house, but bugger it. So let's burn everything here. Note that you don't want to burn a card that isn't the right symbol because, and I didn't get the symbols anyway, so I've been ejected and I might as well just dump the other card. So now that I've actually entered the castle, the king has gotten somewhat enraged. And see Mercurio there's just teleported away. He's going to lose 1 prestige there, but nobody else has any, so it doesn't really matter. See how much Thane has. Thane's only got the 1 prestige, so again, not much of an interference. 8, 1, 0, 0. So Sana will take the last turn. Good old Paddington Bear. And no, our king is not creeping closer to death. Our king's carked it. Good and proper. As you can see there, prestige victory is automatically triggered. So basically, if you're playing through a bit faster, if you're not taking a little bit of time to explain anything, you'll find that matches usually can go, I'd say around about like 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. So we'll pop back out into the main menu here. So you can see some of the things they've got planning. So you can create a private game here. You can have a game with just 1 or 2 people and fill the rest with AI if that's what you want to do. It's what me and Jason did, so it's kind of set the AI there if you want, which is handy. And the invite just comes up. A friend of mine is wanting to play probably something else, and you can just go find public game and it just searches. We'll take a look at the card gallery here nicely. And one of the things that is nice, apart from the art styles though, the animations on the cards are pretty beautiful as well. You could see the... Shame you can't actually go over to the different categories by clicking on them up here, but you can bring them up. Not all of them are completely animated. Some of them, like this one, just has a very slight... It's a bit of a shake there on the tree and the horn. You do have some very pretty artwork, and that's one of the nice things I think. Working on this for an artist would actually be lovely. You get to draw. You have that sort of creative license to make all these different abilities, and then you get to animate them as well. Is that Yoda almost? It almost looks like Yoda. Just what Yoda's doing with lightning. A little shake there. That one's nice. So that's Armello. Like I said, it's in early access. You can pick it up for, I want to say, well, I can probably just check actually, since I have my laptop next to me. But I'm going to say $20 at the moment. I think that might, just looking at, whoop, there's the page reloads there. No, it's 25 US at the moment. I think it was actually cheaper if you were a backer back in the day. Obviously, that's not an option anymore. Although I guess it does still count as backing if you're giving the developer money at this stage. They had just put out a patch fix as well, only a couple of days ago, which is always nice. And it does actually run nicely. Like I was saying before, I loaded this on my MacBook Air, and it ran quite well. I ran it obviously at a lower resolution and less details, but I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever. So that's Armello, League of Geeks down in Melbourne. I quite like it. I like a bit of relaxing sort of tabletop things. It's a good thing if you have a couple of screens. You can quite easily play this on one and watch something on the other. But if you're into it, check it out. Otherwise, that'll be it from me. And hopefully I'll see you all around the internet pretty soon. Take care.